Hi guys, this is Ellery here, and we're gonna go over probably about a 20-minute tutorial on how to get SpeechParser set up under Premise. And so if you've been following the videos on how to create a home from scratch, and we talked about how to create like a Samsung TV IR driver, or module rather, and how lights work in Premise. So if you've done all that, and maybe even you've installed the KODI module from a few videos ago. So if you've done all that, you'll be able to control all that with your voice now via your Android phone or Android Wear device like the Moto 360 watch, or even using your Amazon Echo. And so we're going to go over all that right now. So down below you'll see a link to the SpeechParser download, and so this is my work. So I require that by downloading this that you not do it for your own benefit or for your own profit. So if you do want to use it to make money, I'm not against that. Just contact me and we'll work something out, and I can even offer remote support. I am an engineer with a master's of science in electrical engineering, so I think I'm pretty good at computers and stuff. So let's see. So if you look here in the zip file, these JS files, so that's what's actually going to take whatever you say and convert it to text and then pass it to your Premise server. So you'll want to, let me open up the tasker. So you'll want to have like an IP address that you can access from whatever device, right? And we'll go over this actually in a later video. I'll probably do 3 or 4 videos on this topic. So before we get distracted with this, let's just go ahead and show you how to set SpeechParser up at Builder, Premise Builder, because I think that's really the first step. So to do that, you probably want to read this PDF file. Now this file's old, so you can't follow everything it says exactly, but because the SpeechParser module's been kind of a work in progress for my own personal use the last 2.5 years. And I wrote that PDF, gosh, it's probably been a good 1.5 years, 2 years, and then I revised it last year. But I haven't really touched it since, and I don't plan to. So hopefully you watch this full video. Otherwise, you may get to a point where you don't know what to do. So you'll need to read over that, and then you'll have to locate these 2 XDO files. So we're going to install this voice expression extension file. We're going to import that first into Premise, and then that SpeechParser XDO. So go under Modules, Import. And so what this voice expression file contains is just a bunch. It extends several classes to kind of give it some searchable names to use for just like text-based names, because you don't always say stuff exactly the same. For example, you would never, there's no way you're always going to say recessed light for this light, right? And so you're probably going to want some searchable properties where you can put some regular expressions into, and that way you can have a lot more versatile setup. So that's what that does. And so once you import this, you'll see it adds those 2 properties to all kinds of objects. Anything that inherits from location or the tag class. And this content search, same idea here, guys. These are just really just ways to hopefully improve searching accuracy for media content items. And so this default search property, you can see it's read-only. It actually will get populated automatically via a script I wrote. So we'll go over that after we set up the rooms and show you how to turn lights on and off using your voice and that sort of thing. And yeah, and this same thing here. This is just a media type would be something that's now going to get added to all of these content providers. That's what anything under this folder, the main parents are all going to be content providers. And so that way you'll be able to tell Premise to play, album Hotel California in the living room, and it'll just go and do it. So we'll even show you an example of that later on. Okay, so first things, before you get too deep into this, you need to go through whichever rooms you want to automate with your voice and define some expression under voice expression. So this is required for all the location objects. It's not going to be required for all the, lights and TVs. So that part's optional, but for sure you must do it for location objects. And then they also have to be mutually exclusive. So for a master bedroom, you might say master bed. And that's going to, since it's a regular expression, that's going to cover the case master bed, and it's going to cover the case master bedroom. And if you don't know what regular expressions are, you probably want to pause this video and go Google that. And they can get very complicated, to be honest with you. So I would just stick something simple like that for now. And so the way SpeechParser is going to work is going to go under here, and it's going to recurse through the room until it finds what it believes to be whatever object you're trying to actually change property values for. So let's go ahead and import SpeechParser, show you what that looks like. So there's the SpeechParser, and with that you now have a SpeechParser home object. And so this guy has a certain GUI ID. And so the idea is you'll access this using that GUI ID along with, like we showed you earlier on this tasker script, with your external IP address, username, and password for your premise server, and whatever external port you're using. And so this example here, we're using HTTP. So if you want to use, HTTPS, you want to put an S there and then go. I think the script itself will still work. You may have to modify it a little bit depending on how. And maybe this is a good topic for a debugging video. But since the premise security SSL certificate will be self-signed, some languages you'll have to go change certain settings when you do the actual HTTP post or get. So I'm kind of getting off track here. So basically, for this example, we'll be accessing this default site, right? So there's the IP address of the premise server. There's the port number we would put in the script, right? And then as an option, you can actually create your own SpeechParser, and that's what I was about to show you with this global unique identifier. And then you would just use this within your script instead of the standard one, so it's a little extra layer of security, I guess. But it really doesn't matter, as far as I'm concerned, because I use a VPN to tunnel into my network. That's why this script here didn't actually use a secure connection. Now, the Amazon Echo, I went ahead and implemented that. So for the Amazon Echo script, you'll notice it does use a secure connection, and I did that just for an extra layer of security. Since I'm really kind of paranoid having, something in the cloud that can toggle the state for any device in my home, and it kind of makes you a little paranoid. So that's why this one is secure. Let's see here, what else? So back to this master bedroom thing. So, and what I meant earlier by mutually exclusive. So when the SpeechParser module searches for like a light to toggle on and off, it's actually going to recurse you know, the entire master bedroom. And since you got a bathroom under there, it may go ahead and turn these lights on and off if it goes and detects a match in either the object name, display name, description. Well, this one's not bound to an object, but say if it was bound to a device object, it would go ahead and look at that device object name. And it would also, if it still can't find a match, it'll actually start using the object types. But for this one, if you just said like turn on the master bedroom light, it's going to see master bed, and it's going to use a regular expression, right, and match that with master bedroom, and then it's going to see this light. And since you said turn on, it knows you're talking about the power state property. And this is already on, so it'll actually reply back and tell you that. So we'll go here. So like I said, for the bathroom, since you may not want it to recurse the bathroom when you're talking about the master bedroom, I'm going to go ahead and move that guy out to the top level. And I'm just going to rename him master bathroom. And then, like I said earlier, it has to be mutually exclusive for each room. For this voice expression, that only applies to the rooms. Really, it's optional. You can do it for the lights if you have some special name you want to call a certain light. And that way, once that object is found, the scripts will it'll stop the recursion and it'll just do that specific item. So we go here and just say like master bath, or you could, since it's regular expressions, you can use the pipe for an or, and parentheses are to make like a group. So you can say master bath or vanity. So we'll move that guy back up there. So notice though, he's not underneath the master bedroom anymore. I'm going to go ahead and set up a little bit. All right. So just to test the command, since once you start using regular expressions, and until you guys get real familiar with them, you'll want to use this test command. and you can get very intricate and have real complicated regular expressions that do all kinds of stuff just in one line of code. So they're actually pretty cool things. So we'll say turn off the master bedroom light. And so it went through and the master bedroom. And since this guy had a light in its display name, it found it and it added an action to set that power state property to false. And then it also formed a response. And so here's the response, just master bedroom recessed light is off. So the response will actually try to use the display name if there is one. If not, it'll just use the name, which that's not a very user-friendly name since there's no space there. So when like your phone or Amazon Echo reads that back, I don't know how it would read that back. It may try to read it back like recessed light, or it may actually spell out each letter. So you really want to have display names defined for a majority of your objects. And that's why they're actually that way when you use the premise wizard like we did in the first video to create our home. So you notice though these table lamps, they're not getting found, and that's because under display name it doesn't have anything to discern what like type of object it is. And remember I said it would try to use the display name first, so if we just say left nightstand lamp. Actually, we'll just do light. Or better yet, you know what, you could just put it in the description, right? So now when we go to toggle this guy, notice he found two, right? So he found the left nightstand lamp, and then he also found the recessed light. So he found recessed light because light was the display name. He found this other guy because we put light in the description field. So you just have to play around with it. And the description that's a good field to use, right? Because it won't show up usually in most interfaces unless you hover a cursor over it. And you can see down here under responses, now we have 2 responses that are going to get read back, one for each type of object. And so it's not limited to lights, obviously. Say you want to do like this fan. So we can say master bath or master vanity right now. And then we'd have to give it some property. And however we say it, you can just say it naturally, right? Just turn on the master bathroom ceiling fan speed to 50%, and it'll just do it. So here's an example of that. So right now, you notice we're just typing test commands. Later on in the next video, we're going to go ahead and I'll be using an Android device and talking to it, so you actually hear it reading back these response sentences. Now, I'll set the there we go. So there you go. So you notice it went ahead and set the fan to 40%. See it right there. It's still off though, but that really is dependent on what kind of object it's bound to. Most dimmers and fan controllers, when you actually change the speed, depending on how the person built the module, it'll usually toggle that on for you. But you see, this guy's not bound to anything, right? So that's why you didn't do anything. I mean, we could go ahead and bind it to the X10 device, but that'll be off topic again, so we don't want to do that. Now the other thing that's kind of neat is you could just say, turn off the master bedroom. Here, I'll do master bed this time. So it doesn't matter what order. I mean, you could say turn off everything. And it'll go through, and since we didn't actually give it an object type, right? We're just telling it a room location and to turn off everything. Well, it doesn't know what everything means. You could add that, and I may do that in a later version. That's actually a good idea. But if you just tell it like a property state and our room location, it'll interpret that as what I define as like a pseudo type. And when it does that, it'll actually look for a media zone first. And if there's no media zone present, here there is, right? There's this television, which is why this action got performed on the television. Well, the television's bound object, right? The bound device object is what actually gets the action performed on it. And if it doesn't find a media zone, it would just do it for the lights. And this was a decision I made. And the source code's open, so you can modify that however you want. There's a better way to, if you do want to customize things, and we'll go through that later on. That'll probably be the third video, so that'll be like 7.3. That'll be how I'll name the videos. And then 7.2 will be how to set up Tasker to work with this thing using Google Now on an Android device. So this will be labeled as video 7.1. Alright, so there's how that works. Now, you can also do commands, like pause, right? So for a pause command, the script will go through, well, first you have to tell it what room, right? And then it'll go through all the objects in that room and look for ones with some property. that correlates to pause. And then once it finds that, it knows what object you're talking about, and then it'll go perform the action. So I'll show you that real quick. So here you could just say pause the master bedroom. And that's, again, that's a pseudo command, right? Because I didn't tell it to pause the PVR in the master bedroom. Right. But it still was able to go and find the right object, and went ahead and sent a transport command with a value of 8, that's what pause is. So that's pretty cool. For this guy, I'm going to go ahead and name him something like KODI. And then you can come back down here and you could say something like pause the KODI box in the master bedroom. And you can see there, it still found it. And so notice it grabs the device object that's bound to the PVR. I don't know if you guys caught that, but... And it'll do that for a media zone objects. That's just how it's designed. And it's designed that way basically just in case there's some weird property under the bound object that you may not have on the home object the device object's bound to. But anyways, that's getting a little too complicated for this video. Let's see where we're at on time here. Yeah, we're doing all right on time. Let's go through. So basically you can also form questions, right? You can ask it stuff. So is the master bedroom light on? Or you could say turned on, or you can basically say however you want, as long as the sentence begins with something like are the, or is the, or why, or what. Right, so it has to be in the form of a question. And it kind of looks at the beginning portion of the sentence to determine that. And so when I hit process command there, it went through and it found the recessed light and then the nightstand. And it told us, yes, the master bedroom recessed light is on. And then it also however, for the left nightstand was off. So it told us no, master bedroom left nightstand light is off. And so that's how that works. Queries are real handy if you want to know, like, when was the front door last opened or something like that. And I demonstrate that, and you probably saw the Amazon Echo YouTube video I did, or maybe the one where I was playing with my Moto 360 watch. But that's how I do that, and it's really easy to set up, as you can see. You just gotta, again, define some voice expression string for each location you're gonna want to control. Make sure they're mutually exclusive. And then we're gonna show you. So say you just wanted to toggle this right nightstand lamp. Maybe you just want to turn just that one object off. So you can give it some unique name. And that's what you would use this voice expression property for under at the object or device level, right? So you can go, what's a good name? So we'll just say right nightstand. So that's a real specific name. And again, that way we can tell it just to mess with this light, and that way it won't go and automatically try to do it on all the lights. So since we're saying, why don't we just say nightstand light? How about something like that? And we'll copy that. Go back up. And then we'll say turn on the master bedroom nightstand light. And we're going to go ahead and toggle process command. And so it just found one object that time, which is kind of, that's a handy way you would handle if there was just one specific item you want. That's a lot better way to do it than a lot of the methods online to go and have like 80 million tasker tasks, one for each light or one for each property of each light. So for a light you'd have on and then off and brightness. That would just be too much work. But you can see with this method you just put some custom expression there, or if it already had like lamp or light in the name, you could just nuke that and leave that blank. And so basically almost all the common properties are actually implemented in SpeechParser. So you could say mute the master bedroom television and it would go ahead and mute it. You could tell it what volume percent level you want. Thermostats work with it. And I think I even demonstrated the thermostat in one of my other videos. So that's really all there is to it. It's a pretty easy module to set up on the premise side. Now the tasker side is going to be a little more complicated, but I'll kind of figure out how to show you guys a screen host of my phone. I got to figure that out before I do this next video. But I will try to get that up there tonight for you, so you can play with that. Oh, well, one last thing. So this user customization. So you may want to go in there and so you could put any customization scripts that you want under here. And so if you had like you wanted to have the house do something when you told it good night, you could use some format like this, and then either have like here you see G good night. So I use the lowercase g, so I remember this is actually a global script. So that would be if you had a global script with that name, or you could just let's see here. What's the easy way? We'll just add a couple here real quick. See, I don't know all the actual device names here. So there's a heat lamp in there and a fan. So we'll go with the heat lamp. Right, you get the idea. So you could do like a line for each item if you want to do like a good night scene using your voice. Or you could actually call a scene directly if you go ahead and set scenes up in Premise. And read on Cocoon Tech if you do that, because a user on Cocoon Tech called 123 put out a tutorial how to access scenes via scripts. So you just go look at that, and I don't use the scenes that much, so that's why I'm not going to show you that here. And then you can see there's a good morning pattern there. So basically this dot response phrase, so that's going to be whatever you want it to say when it's done. And it'll go ahead and say that. So these are the user customization. I mean, it's up to you if you want to use this. You may not. I mean, to be honest with you, the only time I use this is for calling global scripts. But these same global scripts gets called by a good night button on my alarm system keypad. That same script. So all my code's in one place, right? And if you wanted to, I'll show you real quick. Here's how you make a global script. You just go in here. Actually, you know what? You could just use some of these as examples. So you just put function and then you name your global script, and then whatever video or parameters get passed, you would separate them by commas and place them in there. And then you always end it with end function, right? And if it's like a returned value, show you what that looks like. You just set the name of the global script equal to whatever variable. And so this could be like a variant, right? And it would still work. So alright, yeah, this video is getting a little long, so I'm gonna go ahead and figure out how to do a screen host of my Android cell phone. Hopefully I can figure that out real quick and get that video up for you guys.